among the Brumbies, hear the wild call of the land. My heart breaks open softly as their breath falls on my hand. They've been here for 200 years, doing what wild horses do, healing country, holding stories, loving me and loving you. But now they stand in terror as the choppers fill the sky, and the bullets keep on falling, and they run and they die. Oh, please let our Brumbies live, let the wild ones still run free, for the shooting only wounds the land and you and me. Now the hills are quiet, empty, there's a trembling in the ground. You know this kind of sorrow doesn't fade, it lingers round. The blood sinks deep in silence, leaves a stain we cannot see, but the earth, she holds the memory of what was and what will be. There was a stallion strong and watchful, with a mane like wind and flame, and his mare so soft and gentle, each one knowing her own name. Such a family in the wild, such a life they wove each day. Tell me why we choose destruction when there is another way. Oh, please stop the shooting now, there's still another way. If you'd only pause and listen to what the people say. Oh, please hear us now, we're calling out in pain. Let the Brumbies run forever through the sun and through the rain.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Nice to have your company. Had a bit of a hiccup there. Brand new equipment didn't work. Anyway, we're here now. Stephen Nowakowski is sitting with the... I have to find out whether that's his green screen or not. It's magnificent, to say the least. I'm jealous. Before we get into Stephen, just some things happening around the country. A gutted bushfire management report deleted wild dog baiting. This is a Victoria target. In Victoria, by the way, wild dog baiting targets and hidden road spending. They're the latest details obscured by the Victorian government, which is just falling apart at the seams at the moment. Meanwhile, this is just as scandalous too. The Victorian government refused to disclose the CFA's pre-season readiness assessment as a parliamentary inquiry into the deadly 2026 fires delivered three conflicting reports. Australia may grow the world's best cotton, by the way, which we do, but aggressive new US trade laws are a warning that quality could soon be irrelevant without full supply chain traceability, which will be really interesting for the clothing industry. Romsey landholders say Greater Western Water has acknowledged pumping unlicensed recycled water into private waterways, raising fears over chemical contamination. Frustrated mortgage holders are being warned there could be further interest rate hikes as soon as August, as the impacts of the US-Iran war start to flow through the economy. So it's going to be I think, a bit of a rough ride up until at least the next federal election, or the US election, because at the moment we have a war that's just it's just not doing all that well. The war that was going to take 3 days has so far it'll go for years. Iran's not going to be rolled over. It's as simple as that. And Donald Trump, thinking that president of the universe, because of that alone, he would have a 3-day war, not on your Nelly. So what's going to happen is we're going to have all the inflation will rise because things will cost more, fuel will go up, fertilizer will be hard to get hold of, and so forth and so forth. And then we have the destruction that's happening in this country, which we'll talk to Stephen shortly about, with the wind farms. We'll build them, maybe not. We'll find out more shortly. This is the Country Telegraph. And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. As you can see right behind me, as I'm not sitting properly, it should be like that. I'll fix it up later. Let's do that later anyway. By the way, we're there on Saturday at Tumbarumba for the it's a bunch of rallies right across the country, protesting I'm trying to get myself right. I can't do it yet. Protesting these terrible shootings that are happening in the Kosciuszko National Park, which we will fix. We must fix that. We must stop it forever, because it's not the way you treat your fellow Aussies, and they are. And as for doing damage, that's just absolute horse poop. I almost said a rude word. Sorry, Stephen. I know that you're sensitive. If you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff, and gather valuable data from your most important resource, your employees, then you've got to visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. We're using it here, and it is absolutely stunning. This week's poll on the Country Telegraph is, do you want the Brumby cull to stop immediately? Which, of course, we would say yes. Just use the QR code on our screen to vote. Each vote is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. You'll have a week to vote before the result is broadcast on the Country Telegraph after 8 a.m. next Tuesday. Now, the link will be published on our Facebook page this morning. Share the link, share the love, and ask your family and friends to participate. It's a very, very important poll, this. We need to send a message, and we see many others doing the same thing. And as we're more of a news organisation, we are not partisan to any group. We just want the killings to stop, and we've got to stop it. It's just appalling. These horses are just absolutely magnificent. This is the Country Telegraph. Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. There's Stephen Nowakowski just waiting. I just love his green screen. I want it. Anyway, we'll come back to Stephen in a second. Look at my green screen. Screen? It's terrible. I'm not that I have OCD at all, Stephen. Anyway, come to you in a second. Several major wind farm projects have been cancelled or scaled back globally, and in Australia, due to poor viability, soaring supply chain cost. I'm doing my Channel 9 impersonation. Shifting government policies and local community opposition, which is very, very important. Stephen Nowakowski is an award-winning wilderness photographer and conservationist based in North Queensland, God's country, Australia. He's recently completed a report mapping the extensive nature of renewable energy project rollouts. First of all, Stephen, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, Mike.
By the way, your green screen, is that a real green screen? Is that
Yeah,
your
yes, that's my backyard. So the sun's just coming up. We're in for a blue sky day, which I'm looking forward to.
It's magnificent. I mean, and it is God's part of the world, isn't it? It's just absolute
It's
glory.
a marvellous place, yeah, and very green at the moment. Yeah, normally I've got agile wallabies down on the grass there, but they're not there this
What
morning.
about snakes?
Yeah, lots of snakes, amethystine pythons, night tigers, tree snakes. Yeah.
Because we have a friend in the US. We said to him, one of our best friends, and we said to he and his wife should visit us. And he said, "Why? I'll get killed." You got spiders, snakes, crocodiles, angry people, all sorts of stuff. So anyway, he hasn't come out yet. You must be. Tell me your thoughts on the disappearing once were going to be wind farms.
I'm cautious because renewable projects can only get up with government subsidies. So there's a thing called the Capacity Investment Scheme, which you might have heard about in the media, and Chris Bowen spruiking it. And the Capacity Investment Scheme is a government underwriting scheme to facilitate the rollout of wind farms and solar farms across this nation, to underwrite them to make them financially viable. So if you can imagine, if you're a wind farm developer and you need to build a wind farm, like the Lotus Creek wind farm, which is 46 wind turbines, that's around $1.3 billion with a B to construct. A bank is not going to lend the developer money on the whims of the weather. No financial bank will lend a developer on the hypothetics of the weather and the wind. The developers need power purchasing agreements that are locked in and lucrative, and they need some sort of underwriting by taxpayers, by you and I, by the federal government to underwrite it, to guarantee that they're going to make money whether the wind blows or the sun shines. And that capacity investment scheme, we don't know how much money that is. We don't know how much money Chris Bowen and Anthony Albanese has given to the industry. We think it's around $30 billion. It could be $50 billion. It could be $100 billion. We don't know because it's commercial in confidence. And we won't know until there is a change of federal government, and then the books will be released and open to the public, hopefully, and then we'll understand how big these subsidies are. But it is quite obvious that these subsidies are still not high enough to get these developments over the line financially. So that's why a lot of these projects are stalling. So for example, there's 46 projects at the moment that have been, out of 59, that have been given capacity investment scheme underwriting, but 46 out of that 59 have not reached financial close yet. And they've gone back to the federal government with hat in hand, requesting more subsidies by taxpayers to make these projects viable.
Have they started some and put a pause button on that? Because in a past life, which is sort of twigs, I can't really go too far down that line, but sort of twigs anyway. Past life, you had being very naughty. You had
That's right.
sorry about that. You had all this video of these developments, these wind farm developments, and they were just destroying the planet to save it.
Yes.
So that's why I ask you if they've been started and then they put a pause on it. You're going to, I mean, we have destruction not seen before, and as you said, one of your interviews with someone else,
That's right.
it's one of the
Yeah, so
worst things
yes, what
I've seen.
Yeah, so look, I was a co-founder of Rainforest Reserves Australia, and we took WinLab to court recently in the federal court, It was a judicial review of the minister's decision to allow the Upper Burdekin wind farm, which has now been renamed to the Gawara Bayer wind farm. We took that project to court. It was really the first court action against a renewable project in Australia, really. And we deemed the risks unacceptable to migratory birds, endangered bats, and the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Act was actually developed to protect matters of national environmental significance, such as migratory birds, and we sign international obligations and treaties to protect migratory birds, yet this wind farm was allowed to kill X number of migratory birds. So we thought that was a really good case to fight against in the federal court. We ultimately lost the case. It's very hard to win on judicial review against legislation, the Environmental Protection and Biodiversity Act. And as a result of that, we had to go into voluntary administration. So Rainforest Reserves Australia went through voluntary administration, and we ceased to exist. However, our organisation is more than just an organisation that is calling out the hypocrisy of renewable energy projects and the destruction of our biodiversity. We also plant a lot of trees, we revegetate a lot of land. We operate the Cassowary Rehabilitation Centre here on the Atherton Tablelands in North Queensland. So we are going to continue going, and we will continue fighting, and we'll continue calling out inappropriate renewable energy projects for as long as it takes to try to knock sense into the Energy Minister and to showcase to Australians, particularly our friends in the inner cities, that renewable energy does have very big impacts on biodiversity, our wild places, our visual amenity, has very big impacts on adjacent communities in terms of noise, low frequency noise and sound. And some of those issues are just coming to light now in terms of what that low frequency sound is doing to wildlife in these areas, in these development areas. So we'll continue fighting, and WinLab at the time was majority owned by Andrew Forrest. So that's, it's funny, because Andrew Forrest is building these wind farms. However, he's also building an LNG import terminal at Port Kembla, south of Sydney, to import gas to run the electricity grid when the wind turbines don't work. So I find that quite hypocritical that we have a man who espouses, the renewable energy transition and future, and at the same time importing vast amounts of gas, fossil fuels, to keep the lights on when his wind turbines aren't working.
Yeah, I just find it. By the way, I'm not a greedy. Although as I got older, I'm fighting a little bit harder for, to make sure that they don't bugger up the planet or bugger up this country. And it seems, in Vietnam, there's a famous case where they were found guilty. They destroyed a village to save it. Just napalmed it. And the same thing you're seeing in Australia. I have to ask you your thoughts on NEPA. The Greens and the Labor Alliance to look after the environment. If they're looking after the environment, could you please explain the severity of the development of the wind farms as per your videos, which is not saving the environment? And then the stories that came out, I saw even a picture of a hole, and it was full of marsupials that had been killed. So I don't understand at all what NEPA are all about, except for being a really good name.
Yeah, I can't comment too much on NEPA. I'm not too sure, but what I do know is what I see with my own eyes. So I work as a photographer. I'm travelling across regional communities all the time. And what I do is I go out of my way to check out renewable energy projects that are under construction and also where they're actually proposed. And I walk the sites, I photograph the wildlife, I see what's there, and all I can do is talk from the heart and from what I actually see. And those videos are a result of what I see out in the field in these areas that are proposed for industrial renewable projects such as wind farms and solar. And that's all I'm doing. And that was a result of the court case. Because we went into voluntary administration, we had to shut down our YouTube video, for example. So all those videos that I have shown to show Australians the impact of renewables has been shut down for the time being because we went into administration. However, I'll be doing a whole range of new videos and posting those up shortly that show the destruction, particularly the bird and bat deaths. So every time I walk to the base of a wind tower at Caban Wind Farm, just near me, there is always dead birds and bats. And even bats, spectacled red flying foxes, which are endangered in the Wet Tropics World Heritage Area. And they're found dead underneath the towers. And I don't think many Australians understand the impacts that these towers are having on our biodiversity. But what horrifies me more than anything is the scale of what is required. If we are to reach these 2030 targets or the 2050 targets, those 2050 targets to me is dystopia. We're talking about tens of thousands of wind towers that are proposed, thousands of kilometres of new transmission line cut through state forests and national parks, valleys and gorges and high-value agricultural land, people's backyards. We're talking about hundreds of or dozens of synchronisers, hundreds and hundreds of batteries, lithium batteries, which are short-lived critical mineral mining that's needed to build these lithium batteries. They're called BESS, battery energy storage systems. So all of that kit needs to be built. It's just not the wind towers in isolation. You need to build an entire system which requires transmission, substations, synchronous condensers, batteries, pumped hydro dams. More rivers and valleys need to be dammed for pumped hydro. And then we also need to build a parallel energy system to run when none of that works, and that is gas. So under the integrated system plan, we need to build 15 gigawatts of new gas generation and capacity to run when none of that works. So we need to build two energy systems.
When there's a lot of money involved, and that's what I'm looking at the moment, the amount of spend, if you look at transmission or renewables with transmission to transport the energy, looking at the wind farms, solar farms, looking at the clearing of for example, Kosciuszko National Park, of all the horses and stuff. And as an ecologist mentioned to us 40,000 years ago, we had giant wombats and all those around. So, but all this is tied up with money, and it's sort of getting towards that pointy end. Look at 2030. It's when I think this country is gone forever. So we have all these things coming into being. When you have enormous amounts of money from all over Australia being spent, but if you look at it properly, it sort of points towards that pointy end. I just get this, I can smell the stench of corruption because we're talking trillions of dollars. The approach from the federal government and other state governments, it seems very choreographed, in my opinion and my observation, and the choreography is a very bad dance.
It's shocking. It's shocking. To give you an example, like just the transmission alone, HumeLink, which is a transmission line to connect proposed wind farms, is going to cost $20 billion. Then you've got Marinus Link to connect Tasmania, to open Tasmania up to wind farms. It's going to cost $20 to $30 billion. Then you've got VNI West in the central Arana. Though that transmission is going to cost 20 to 30 billion. And then you've got VNI West running through the Wimmera and out into Victoria to hook up transmission, 20 to 30 billion. Then you've got Snowy Hydro 2.0, which is at the moment 40 billion, which will probably go out to 50 or 60 billion. So there's over 100 billion with a B alone in just a few transmission projects. So it's not hard to see that this is going to cost well over $1 trillion. And that has to be paid by somebody. and it's going to be paid by us through our electricity bills. So when I hear the minister talk about the cost of energy is going to go down with renewables, I just have to laugh. There's no way that that electricity prices can go down when there's so much capital costs that need to be paid back to facilitate this rollout. And the state governments are working, they've all signed up to different agendas and different timelines. But I have to commend the state LNP, the Queensland State LNP, that have really thrown the targets in the bin. And I think that is a sensible decision and not be held to try, they're not being pushed down this road of rushing transmission and so forth. In Queensland, we're building the Copper String 2.0 transmission line. I can't recall what the cost of that is. I think it's around $10 to $12 billion, 12 billion, I think it is. But that will probably blow out to 20 billion. So there's another transmission line. Yeah, but it's just huge. I don't think Australians understand what is going on in the scale and the cost of to try to do this.
And don't forget the data centers they're building. I mean, they require a small. I mean, you can't put ever-ready batteries into those things, so they won't last very long.
No, that's
They
right.
will stop. Where do they get the energy? Where do they get the water?
Yeah, look, look, I don't know. All I do know is that I think we should be a data centre superpower. I think we should be an energy superpower in Australia, and we can do that.
But not with renewables.
Not with renewables. You can never be a superpower. In fact, with renewables is a way to deindustrialise a nation. And you only have to look at Germany. Germany is the only other country that's trying to do this. And they've spent well over $1 trillion already, Australian dollars, $1 trillion. They have around 41,000 wind towers, and they are deindustrialising. England is going down this path as well. So they've lost manufacturing. So we've lost our glass industry, heavy industry in glass manufacturing, but we're going to lose aluminium, we're going to lose steel, we're going to lose, we've lost fertiliser. So all of these industries require industrial heat. So you need industrial heat for glass, steel, aluminium, cement production, and you can't do that with solar panels and wind turbines. You need industrial heat. And so, look, I'm a big believer in nuclear. I think through nuclear we can become a energy superpower, and data centers around the world are looking at using nuclear power to power those data centers. And I think the same thing. I think if we want to invite data centers into this country, which I think we should, well, then they should be investing in nuclear technology to facilitate the power resources that are needed.
Totally agree with you, but I just heard a massive clunk in Canberra. The Greens hit their heads on the table as they fell over. Because you suggested nuclear energy, but it's, I think, and I still don't understand it, we'll export our stuff overseas to help their nuke centres power on, but we won't do any ourselves. And it's like,
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. Just imagine, Stephen, that you wouldn't have anything to complain about with those wind turbines. They'd stop. There's no need for them. You got this magnificent clean energy. That's
yeah,
just,
that's right.
it's just,
Yeah, the beauty. Yeah, the beauty about nuclear is that we use our existing transmission infrastructure, and you have to realise, from a conservation perspective, nuclear requires the least amount of materials per terawatt hour of energy produced, excluding conventional hydro. So nuclear requires the least amount of materials, the less mining, the less infrastructure, the least amount of critical minerals, everything. So nuclear really is the most green solution. If you're after zero emissions, nuclear is the no-brainer,
it is.
and it's crazy.
But they all think we're going to glow in the dark. People, and they still do. Oh, we can't have that. Well, we ship our stuff overseas, and no one's glowing in the dark just yet. Look, we have to go, Stephen. If somebody wants to find out more about you, and by the way, again, I have to say it, and I have to admit it, I'm jealous of your background. I would. You just tell me? Are you more towards Cairns, or or
Yeah, just west of Cairns. So just west of Cairns, up at Kuranda. So about half an hour up the range, up the Kuranda range,
you're with the
in the
train?
hinterland.
Yeah,
Yeah, the hinterland behind Cairns. Yeah, yeah.
magnificent. I was kept telling my wife I want to go there, and she says, "Oh, one day, dear." I've been up there plenty of times for holidays and stuff, but vacation. But it's to live there. I think it's yeah. I like to get away from people. I just
Yes, yeah.
like I
No,
like
it's a
to have
beautiful place.
Mother Nature there and or Father Nature and just. Anyway, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on record.
But Australia's a special place. It doesn't matter where you are. I think Australia, we're blessed wherever you are. So
Yeah, and right behind me on my green screen, by the way, which is pretty good too.
yes,
We're there on Saturday, and the Snowies, Kosciuszko National Park. What a magnificent part of Australia that is! But again,
yes.
we have government trying to bugger it up, which is just typical of government, isn't it? At this stage, we do need a new government. Anna Power will be up next. Maybe she can suggest something. Pull a rabbit out of the hat or something. Stephen, thank you so much for your time. We'll do more of this. Let us
you,
know
Mike.
when you're back on YouTube if we can help in any way. Truly,
Yes.
you just have to ask us, and whatever we can do to help you. I think you're a stand-up bloke, and
Thanks, Mike.
enjoy the conversations. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for
This
having me.
is the Country Telegraph.
There's around 17,000 level crossings around Australia, many of these on country roads like the one behind me here. They have no lights or boom gates.
We're saying this needs to change, and we want mandatory legislation introduced to ensure that all trains have safety lighting. This issue affects all Australians, and we know that people that are from metropolitan areas are at greater risk of a crash with a train because they're expecting full controls in place that they're just not going to get in regional areas where these level crossings are protected only by signage.
In Australia, there's strict lighting requirements for trucks, buses, cars, even bicycles. But when it comes to Australia's biggest land vehicle, trains, there are no mandatory standards in place, and this anomaly really needs to be corrected.
When approaching a railway level crossing, especially those without lights or boom gates, drivers must exercise caution and must always check that it is safe to cross. But a driver can't give way to a train they can't see.
The rail industry is very profitable, powerful and protected. We have a unique situation where the Rail Industry Safety and Standards Board is owned and controlled by rail operators. So they have the power to put commercial interests before public safety.
By law, trucks must have marker lights that clearly show their full length, width and height from every angle, day or night. If a truck doesn't meet these lighting rules, it can't legally be on the road. If it's good enough for trucks, it's good enough for trains.
If those changes had been made back then, we would still have our family members today. Instead, we have to watch on while other families go through these completely preventable tragedies. Something as simple, as cheap and affordable as a beacon light could have saved 3 precious, beautiful lives in our particular crash.
Over the years, there's been far too many tragedies at level crossings around Australia. And on behalf of the many families and communities affected, I really do appeal to our government and to industry to support mandatory safety lighting on all trains.
Authorised by Lara Jensen, Mount Magnet.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Our regular guest, Anna Power, jetting all over the place down on the Victoria's coastline. I used to live in Geelong. This is what happens when you You just have no, got all this time on your hand, living the good life. Anna Power is a mother, agricultural family, business owner, educator, and independent candidate for the federal campaign for Maranoa in Queensland. First of all, Anna, thanks for joining us. Did you go surfing?
No, I did go to Bells Beach and have a look. I didn't surf because I didn't have a wetsuit.
Now, I have to say, because
day.
I live down there, isn't Bells Beach a bit of a disappointment? You think it's going to have these, everything, all the razzmatazz for world championships, surfing competitions, and it's basically a bit of sand and a cliff.
Yeah, I actually thought it was quite attractive along the coastline there. Some of the urban sprawl out the back's not so great. I just went down for a couple of nights to see our son, who's at university, NAG University, just out of Geelong. So that was excellent because I haven't been down there, haven't seen the uni, haven't been to Victoria for a very long time. Melbourne was quite interesting. I go into that right now. Stay on track.
Tell me about Melbourne. What's your thoughts? Because all reports, the Labor Party have absolutely destroyed the entire state, in particular the city. What's your thoughts?
It's looking not great. I got out of the bus station and there was homeless people who were obviously on drugs with dogs, not on leads. I'm not scared of anything. I go about my business. I choose not to be scared, but that's obviously a couple of decades with COVID putting the icing on the cake. If you pay people to stay home, you pay people for decades intergenerational welfare. It's not pretty, and I cannot understand anyone who still thinks it's a good idea to put people on welfare for intergenerational, what I call intergenerational welfare. Takes away people's hope, takes away what's the point in getting up during the day. And you can just see it. I can see it everywhere I go. Melbourne's kind of the epicenter because I say they're a couple of years ahead.
Yeah, I see that the number of homeless has increased as a result of the cull yesterday with Jacinta Allen disappearing. So she's out there on the street. Of course not.
She definitely won't be out on the street.
Not really.
Because there are no ramifications for what politicians and their policy do on any side of government.
Tell me about because money buys money. Wealth is power. Money is power, and you can use it whichever way you want to. There was an exclusive dinner with the Prime Minister, and I was watching part of it on the last night on TV, and I can't remember who was there. Oh yeah, there was people there. There were people there, and weren't there that had a lot of money and wanted to have a lot of clout.
Well, I won't speak on their behalf, but I'll speak on the behalf of the Australian taxpayer. In my research, I put together a few notes, which I'll share with you. So the Australian Federal Police had an advance team the day before to inspect for safety. A Point Piper mansion owned by the wife of a billionaire businessman who gambled allegedly $2.2 billion over 15 years in Sydney Star Casino. Is that money laundering? And allegedly owes the ATO $273 million. So our Prime Minister is dining with the 25-year-old son of this lady who owns this property because her husband, I read, doesn't have any property, Australian property in his name, but it's in his wife's name. So the taxpayer funded the AFP. In attendance was ex-Victorian Premier Dan Andrews, who gets $300,000 a year pension from the taxpayer. Ex-corporate watchdog for ASIC, who a taxpayer funder inquiry found that too often ASIC fails to respond to early warnings of corporate misconduct and does not routinely use the full extent of its own powers to achieve strong enforcement outcomes. So we're funding all this, the taxpayers funding this, and what are the outcomes? They have dinners with once Chinese billionaires, gamblers. Commonwealth Bank Chairman was also there, and Joe Hockey, who's the ex-treasurer for the Coalition, He gets 139,000 a year in his pension minimum, and he's also chairman of the Lee Family Office. And apparently, 25-year-old Felix Lee, he runs this office. He's 25 years old, and it's just him with its own governance, purpose, and operating boundaries, which is a direct quote from Joe Hockey.
Incredible. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, these people, 25, he must be a really super intelligent person.
Oh,
And
amazing.
nothing to do with money at all. It's just that he's a
Mike,
go-getter.
can I just plug in my laptop? Sorry, I didn't plug
That's
it in.
fine. We're just going to let Anna plug in the laptop because we would hate Anna to be gone. We're having no. I'll bring you. Are you comfortable, Anna? There we go.
It's hard to believe that the ex-treasurer of the federal Australian government is claiming that a 25-year-old is fully in charge of millions of dollars in his mum's Point Piper mansion. And he gets, like, imagine if any other 25-year-old in Australia invited the PM, the ex-premier of Victoria, who's also on a Chinese company board last time I looked. The office run by ex-treasurer Joe Hockey. You can't make it up. I mean, listening to old mate talking about the wind turbines, you know, we can wax lyrical all we want about how it should be, how we'd love all of these things, that we should be an energy superpower. I completely disagree with him on being an AI superpower. If they're Amazon databases, do we really want them here hoovering up more of our information? But anyway, we could be an energy superpower with the natural resources we have if they were actually kept here and not exported by the likes of twiggy forests, and then we buy back the fake renewables. Anyway, so all I can say is if people keep voting the same, they're going to get the same BS.
They are. And what about Pauline Hanson? Of course, she doesn't hobnob it to anyone. Gina, what a lovely big pool we have in Europe.
Yeah, it's really problematic because I know people want hope and they want someone to look at and think, yes, they're actually going to represent and stand for us. But as I said to someone yesterday who accused me of being a lefty, because I don't think left or right should exist. It's the illusion of choice, and you always have to follow the money. And when you've got Joe Hockey, ex-coalition treasurer, organising dinners at 25-year-olds' mums' Point Piper mansions for the Labor Prime Minister, tell me what the choice is. Convince me that we actually have a choice.
Well, we don't, do we? We have no choice.
We don't. It's a joke. And anyone who gets establishment media attention, whether it be good or bad, is part of the problem, because you just don't get it if you're not in the game. You don't get it. And until people actually start supporting upstanding, honest people who are completely transparent, accountable and honest, nothing changes. So I always say, hashtag follow the money. Follow the money. Don't follow the words. What's coming out of their mouth means nothing. Actions always speak louder than words. And the money behind the person is what's running the show. So we can talk about how the environment, we can talk about all of these things. We can talk about welfare reform. We can talk about do we need AI data centers or not? It doesn't matter, because as long as the people in charge are being controlled by the billionaire class, nothing changes.
Tell me, it really doesn't matter whether they're LNP, whether, you know, everybody is susceptible to and the longer they're in.
I don't know that. I disagree on that. I don't think everyone is susceptible. I think the only people allowed in the room, Mike, are the people who are susceptible or who are only in it for themselves.
When I say
you are driven out. If you are. This is my experience of life as someone who will always be honest and always stand up for.
But if
the
you're,
greater good. You get driven out by these people. At every level.
When I say,
and it's on steroids now. Everywhere I go, it's on steroids. You are not allowed to speak the truth.
So the not temptation, but the they and everybody is susceptible. It's whether you agree to go down a particular path or not. And then I think that's what I was trying to say, that the illusion of I don't know whether it's previous power at one stage and then looking after your future because you may not get re-elected, and so therefore people do things they shouldn't do. And so far I haven't seen a party that's immune from that. And I think it's I think we do need more independence. But however, are they susceptible to?
What we need, Mike, is transparency.
But we're never going to get that.
So we have the technology now that you can just completely go live and say if someone's given you money, but they don't do it, do they? Like people have to investigate. They get bullied. You look at Shane Dowling. I get quite a few facts from him, Kangaroo Court of Australia. Well, he talks about federal corruption all the time. And he gets bullied, but there's no defamation cases against his articles, so they must be true. You know what I mean? Like, I just get really frustrated. My brother was telling me this morning that I said to him that the Labor conference is sponsored by pokey giant Endeavour Group, and the largest shareholder is also involved in Star Casinos, and his son is CEO of Star Casino. And then also the Labor Party owns hundreds of pokie machines through the Canberra Labor clubs, generating a massive income for Labor Party. And they're setting the gambling policy. Come on, it's crazy.
It is actually.
So all of this could, if you're a politician who actually wanted to do the right thing, you could be putting this all live now, but they're not, are they?
No.
It's just a protection racket that we pay for, and I'm sick of paying for it, Mike. I'm tired of it.
Now, you were, because I was trying to go back to Victoria for a second, because they have an election coming up, which I would probably think that, actually, I've got no idea who will get in. I mean, Liberals or the LNP have had a terrible run. Even with Dan in full flight, they still couldn't win. You would have chatted to people and you met people and stuff. What was your impression of what might happen at this forthcoming state election?
To be honest, I actually didn't talk politics down there. I was
Really?
focused on family. Family is really important to me.
Right.
Obviously, though, she's resigned, so that means that the Labor power brokers can put in their pick. They talk about going to the party members and the members picking. What a load of rubbish. She's now resigned, so they can put someone in her place, which they did with her when Dan Andrews resigned. So democracy, what a joke. Absolute joke.
Yeah, I totally agree. But what about the
LNP, I don't know, who wants the poison chalice now when they can sit in opposition and for not much less money and wine and dine on our dollars? Who wants the poison chalice now? Like, look at what the opposition get, the perks they get, the wages they get. Why do we even have an opposition? It's a joke.
I'm not ever going to politics against you.
Well, exactly. And that's why, I could call for a debate. I noticed David Littleproud's now going to do a tour of Maranoa. That's interesting, isn't it? He's been in for over 2 terms and suddenly he's realised that he's supposed to listen to the people of his electorate. Well, let's see how that goes.
Yeah, that will be
But he'll get all the media. He can ring up Sky News and go direct from, wherever he is in Cunnamulla. He gets all the media, doesn't he? He's got my taxes to fund him jetting around or whatever he's doing. Is he going to drive? Let's watch. I'm over it. People go, oh, why don't you suck up to these people? Why should I suck up to these people? What have they done for us? We're getting taxed and inflated into oblivion. The fuel excise is gone now, so small and medium business is going to get even less money. Sorry, they put the fuel excise back on the fuel because they will be hurting without that excise, mate. They are spending so much money to have that cut out will be really hurting those people who are buying the next vote and buying people with our money.
Totally agree with you.
And the truth, people don't want to hear the truth. I don't know why, because you always get long-term gain from the truth.
I have a theory, but I won't go into that because we're going to run out of time. Where are you today, by the way?
I'm back in Brisbane. I flew back yesterday morning and I'm heading home today. But just a quick story if you want one. When I was going through Avalon Airport yesterday, through their biometric machine, which to me is all about control, I had an alarm come up and the lady wanted to pat me down and I said, no thanks, it's a Band-Aid on my leg. And I showed her the Band-Aid and she immediately said, I'm getting my supervisor. And I said, why? And I'm getting the supervisor because everything now is perceived as some sort of personal threat and common sense is dead. So you just show the Band-Aid, and in the 80s when we didn't have any of this rubbish, she would have gone, oh, okay, see you later. No, she gets the supervisor. They put me through the biometric machine again, and this time it comes up on my arm. So the alarm showed up in 2 different places, so it's working really well. But it's really good at keeping everyone in control, isn't it?
It certainly is. No, it's for convenience. Haven't you heard?
Oh yes, all about our convenience,
Makes
expecting
travel
us,
easier.
loudspeaker telling us to dob on our neighbours. Yeah,
Of course, that's the Australian way now.
Yeah.
Anna Power, thank you. And now, if somebody wants to find out more about you just quickly, how do they do that?
Anna Power on Facebook, and vote Anna Power for Maranoa on Facebook. I have my opinions, but if I get elected to the electorate of Maranoa, then I'm working for the people of Maranoa only, and it doesn't matter what my opinion is. I would be taking whatever bills they're trying to pass to the people of Maranoa and asking them for how it should be, how I should vote, because that's what democracy is. It's not party power brokers telling me how to vote.
Yeah. You can hop on your brand new Massey Ferguson and terrorise them.
Yeah. I won't be terrorising anyone. I believe in unity, and if we don't have a unified Australia soon, we will be in a lot more trouble. Anyway, see you later, Mike.
Thank you very much. Anna Power here on the Country Telegraph.
So many places where they're using 1080 poison baits.
Yeah, it's an absolute travesty, mate.
It really is.
1080 baits, if you've seen what a 1080 bait does to a dog, it's one of the most horrific things you'll ever witness. And the second you see something like that, you'll be a big advocate for getting rid of 1080 baits. It's not the way to solve the problem with wild dogs and foxes and things like that.
On Sunday, August the 30th, I got a phone call from my husband. I wasn't here, I was out in Aramac staying with family. And he rang me very distressed and crying on the phone and told me that Tippy was dead. And he then described to me how that happened. He said he was inside, heard Tippy outside yelping, which progressively rapidly went to screaming, and he was thrashing him, throwing himself around. He went under my car, which is parked on the veranda in a carport, threw himself under the car and up under the wheel arch, obviously looking for sanctuary. Greg tried to grab him and got hold of his leg, and as he did that, he just dropped dead. So he rang me and told me about this, so I was obviously quite distraught as well. And then he had to go into town, into Bundaberg, to pick up for a pre-arranged appointment. And when he came home a couple of hours later, Faye, our Maremma dog, was also dead. So within a couple of hours, we're not sure, any time between 9:30 and midday is when she died on that morning. So yeah, Greg took them to bury them, and he took Ted with him when he buried these 2 dogs, and Ted was there with him. And after Greg finished burying them, he wouldn't leave. He just laid, he sat, moved around. He wouldn't leave the gravesite. So Greg had to literally pick him up and take him away. So he knew his mates were in there. So, yeah. Sorry.
1080 is not a humane poison, and despite people's claims that it is humane, we now recognise that that's not the case. It's not good enough to pretend to ourselves that it's humane and keep on doing the same old thing that we've been doing for years. There's no excuse to keep on using a poison that is not humane and that we know is not humane.
And welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Before we get into our next guest, a gutted bushfire management report in Victoria deleted wild dog baiting targets and hidden road spending the latest details obscured by the Victorian government. Ben Carroll's got a lot on his plate, hasn't he? If you look at the LNP from the past and look at Ben Carroll, the Labor Party at the present, who do you vote for? I'll probably go look at independents, by the way. The Victorian government refused to disclose more on the Victorian government to disclose the CFA's pre-season readiness assessment as a parliamentary inquiry into the deadly 2026 fires delivered 3 conflicting reports. Australia may grow the world's best cotton, but aggressive new US trade laws are a warning that quality could soon be irrelevant without full supply chain traceability from farm to garment. Romsey landholders say Greater Western Water has acknowledged pumping unlicensed recycled water into private waterways, raising fears over chemical contamination, which is just dreadful. Victoria, the place you don't want to be at the moment. Frustrated mortgage brokers or holders are being warned there could be further interest rate hikes as soon as August, which is just around the corner, as the impacts of the US-Iran war start to flow through the economy, which is, if you think about it, the man who was going to have a 3-day war, 10 cents to nothing, goes for at least 18 months to 2 years, if not perpetual for a long, long time. This is the Country Telegraph. Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. We had yesterday Myra Kay on from the UK. Formerly lived in the Snowy Mountains region, Jindabyne and places like that. Now in the UK studying equine and are doing some great songwriting. One of the songs that she wrote, which I think is very pertinent to this day and age, to those living in that beautiful part of Australia and the world, a song called The Horses That Raised Me, here on the Country Telegraph.
The horses that raised me.
I was only 5 years old, with little boots upon my feet, when I saw them on the mountain, running wild and running free. The wind danced through their mane, like a song upon the breeze. And somehow in their presence I found the strength in me.
When I was scared and lonely and the world felt cold and gray, I'd climb up to the ridges and watch the Brumbies play. They never spoke a single word, yet somehow we understood. They taught me how to stand up tall and showed me life was good.
Don't take away the horses that raised me. Don't silence the thunder I've known all my life. They're part of my story. They're part of my heartbeat. They're woven like stars through the dark of the night. I grew up beside them. They helped me keep going when tears filled my
girl grew older, a teenager with dreams, still searching for the peace I found beside those mountain streams. They carried all my memories across the valleys wide. Every hope and every fear, they seem to walk beside.
Now I'm standing as a woman, looking at the hills today, and the fear inside is breaking me as they're being taken away. Distant helicopter feels like it's chasing dreams. Don't take away the horses that raised me. Don't silence the thunder I've known all my life. They're part of my story. They're part of my heartbeat. They're woven like stars through the dark of the night. I grew up beside them. They helped me keep going when tears filled my eyes and I wanted to hide. Don't take away the horses that raised me. Please let my Brumby survive. How do I explain to the child I once was that the friend she adored may be gone? How do I tell her the mountain she loved could wake to a sorrowful dawn? I still see them running like shadows of gold, and I pray they'll keep running long after I'm old. Don't take away the horses that raised me. Don't take away the peace that they gave. They're more than a memory, more than a photograph, more they first ran into my heart. And no matter what tomorrow brings, we'll never truly part.
Great track there too. I just love it, Maury K there. Now, if you want to increase your bottom line, boost your communication with your frontline staff and gather valuable data from your most important resource, that's your employees, then you have to visit Instantpolls.online to learn more. A great bunch of people there too, and just some magnificent enthusiasm. Instantpolls.online. Now, this week's poll on the Country Telegraph, do you want the Brumby cull to stop immediately? That's, do you want the Brumby cull to stop immediately? Just use the QR code on our screen to vote. Each vote is secure and anonymous and verified by 2FA. Now, you'll have about a week, just under a week, to vote before the result is broadcast on the Country Telegraph after 8 a.m. next Tuesday. The link will also be published on our Facebook page, and share the link and ask your family and friends to participate. This poll is very important, so please, excuse me, please make your opinion count.
The king may rule over land and sea. The lord may live right royally. The soldier ride in pomp and pride. The sailor roam over ocean wide. But this or that, whatever befall, the farmer, he must feed them all. The writer thinks, the poet sings, the craftsman fashion wondrous things. The doctor heals, the lawyer pleads, the miner follows, the precious leads. But this or that, whatever befall, the farmer, he must feed them all. The merchant, he may buy and sell, the teacher do his duty well. But men may toil through busy days, or men may stroll through pleasant ways. From king to beggar, whatever befall, the farmer, he must feed them all. The farmer's trade is one of worth. He's partner with the sky and earth. He's partner with the sun and rain, and no man loses for his gain. And men may rise, or men may fall, but the farmer, he must feed them all. God bless the man who sows the wheat, who finds us milk and fruit and meat. May his purse be heavy, his heart be light, his cattle and corn and all go right. God bless the seeds his hands let fall. For the farmer, he must feed us all.
Welcome back to the Country Telegraph. Behind me is just it's the Kosciuszko National Park, and we're broadcasting live from there on Saturday morning from Tumbarumba, which is going to be an exciting time, I think. It's a great time. Looking forward to it very much. And the Reunion Hotel, got to thank them so much too. The whole town, just absolutely magnificent. Sian White Wolf Molyneux is an Australian entrepreneur, president of Wild Horse Protection Australia, and a passionate advocate for practical long-term solutions for Australia's wild horses. A mother and guardian of 3 wild dingoes, Sian has spent years developing a deep connection with Australia's wildlife. She is also a natural horsemanship enthusiast who has successfully retained her own bronco horse and has had several profound experiences observing and interacting with wild brumbies in their natural environment. Absolutely magnificent creatures. Experiences that inspired her commitment to their future. For more than a decade, she has worked with entrepreneurs and businesses around the world as coach, mentor, and energetic healer, helping people align purpose with business and personal growth. Over the past 2 years, Sian has worked with private investors on large-scale projects, building relationships and connecting opportunities across multiple industries. Now, as president of Wild Horse Protection Australia, a brand new org, Sian is leading a movement focused on creating positive, collaborative pathways for the future of Australia's brumbies. Thank you very much for joining us.
Hello, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I just you'll go to heaven, and I won't, but you'll go to heaven. You're doing a magnificent job, and I think I think the brumbies need as much help as possible, and it's just a terrible time for them. What do you, before we get on to other things, where do you see the future for Kosciuszko National Park and the brumbies? Because they're still killing them, and they're planning another overhead cull with the helicopters. Even though it's planned for November, many are saying now it'll be brought forward to October. What's your thoughts on that and the future for the Brumby?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It's so deep, heartbreaking. Seeing what's happening to our icons, our heritage, and as a dingo lover as well, I see this 1080 baiting. I see how the parks are managed, being in the hands that it's in, and the corporations behind, the beast and why it is operating the way that it is. And at Wild Horse Protection, we want to work in a parallel manner where we are campaigning and we are wanting those brumbies to stay on country, because ultimately that's where they belong and that's where they've been the whole time, as long as we have. So we want to work in parallel, though, and also offer an option where they can be taken out of the government's hands, and have a safe area where they can be managed, and they can be in a rewilding situation. But as the future of Kosciuszko, I mean, it's always going to be at the risk of whoever is managing, whoever is in control, what government party is in control, and ultimately it would be beautiful if it was put back in the hands of the local people and the traditional owners. I mean, that's really what we do, or what I believe and our organisation believes would be the best path. But is that going to happen? Who knows?
Well, I've seen the video. You probably have too, of there's a group of blokes that apparently work for the National Parks and Wildlife Service, and they reminded me of a militia from Ukraine. I got to tell you, they were very threatening. I mean, it was a shocking indictment on the place we're at the moment, where these bunch of bullies, and that's what they are. Not only can they terrorise people who aren't as strong as they are, they can also kill helpless animals. And to me, it seems like we've gone nuts, this country. But the thing that really gets to me is that most Australians at the moment go, oh yeah, of course. And they don't understand the importance, first of all, of this creature to our history and our heritage. And we play a lot of stuff here saying, do not forget, lest we forget, we're forgotten. So that must dismay you. And then to treat any animal, because we're now looking at 1080, besides the cruel shooting, there's no need to kill anybody, anything. Look at the 1080, which is going to decimate other, from birds to rabbits to horses to any living being there. It must dismay you also.
It's heartbreaking, and I think it's really important. A lot of the Australian public is obviously just going by news channels and what they're hearing, and we've got to look at everything. The government is a business, and they're running the park as a business, and we have these large corporations profiting off chemicals, 1080 Bay. They're profiting off offsets. They're profiting off development. So we've got to look at patterns and also see how we can combat that or work with it or parallel work with it and come up with our own models that are for the positive. So this 1080 baiting, is a big business model. So the more that we share as a community and the more that we come together and share our voices and also share these incredible horses, I think, online and share that among our communities, no matter how small that is, if you're just doing flyers or you're online or you're speaking about it, and showing the magnificence and the beauty of these animals and the importance, I think is, we're all doing a tremendous job in that. And, you see a bit of a division in the Brumby world, but I think everybody has their role, whether you're a rehomer, whether you're an advocate, whether you're in Parliament. We're all coming together and doing our bit. So I think having hope and not giving up as well is detrimental at this stage. And the more that we share, the more we're going to break down that belief system that the propaganda has spread through and that business model has spread through the Australian public.
Yeah, whenever we have huge amounts of money, and if you look at from the renewables to the absolute environment, the desecration of the environment, to save the planet, and look at all these things, you're talking about trillions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Whenever you have such large amounts of money, the stench of corruption is very strong, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, that can happen. And you've got both sides of the spectrum. You've got money's just a tool, like a weapon, or and it's how it's used. And unfortunately, it's being used in a model that isn't beneficial for the land, for the people, and for the country, for the animals. So this is where me personally, I zoom out and I look at patterns and I look at how things are run. And I'm looking at this whole ecosystem of how it's run and how the animals are suffering. And I'm saying to myself, okay, well, how about we create a model that is regenerative, that pays for itself, that we can do in a positive way, that is a safe haven for these animals, not just the horses, but the animals that are a part of our landscape, that don't have to be in the hands of 1080 baiting, that don't have to be in the hands of whatever next business model or money-making revenue stream is coming through. And this is what I've learned through private investing. And, the big projects that come across me worldwide, is that it's completely doable. And it's just about having the right setup, the right partners and the right structure to be able to create new private corridors and pathways that are supporting our local people, that are supporting our traditional owners, that are supporting our animals. And it is starting to take place around the world. And I want to bring a positive feel to this, that this is going to happen in Australia, and that's what we're committed to doing.
Tell me about Wild Horse Protection Australia.
Yep, so we're fairly new. That's very new, I should say, but it's a group of us that have come together, quite an amazing group. We've got ecologists, we've got biologists, vets, we've got people in that have got a political background, even drone technology. So we have been a bit quiet. We've been sitting back and we've been really thinking and strategizing and putting all of our talents together. We obviously all care very deeply about the Brumbies and the horses, but we also care about community as well, and we're solution based. So we are coming up with a model that is the first in Australia, but I have seen taking off around the globe, and that's what we are starting to put steps forwards with.
Tell me about the model. You said it's taking off around the world, across the globe, but it's different from others in Australia. Tell us about this model and how it would work and what we can look forward to.
Yeah. So what we've seen so far, and everyone, is doing an incredible job in the Brumby world, whether they're rehomers or they're sanctuary owners, community. And, you know, we've still got to reach out to a lot of people. We've only just started. We want to make sure that we're speaking to everybody and we're collaborating with everybody, no matter what they're doing in that space. So with this model, what we're looking at is Australia's largest wild horse conservation regenerative model. So this is looking at 10,000 acres plus, and we can also build out from that. So we have incredible people on our team. If we start off with a large parcel of land that can keep buying out as well. And I feel this is the future of the planet, is going into philanthropy, going into private lands. And how do we get this land to actually make an income so that those horses are protected and safe? What I'm seeing, you know, in a lot of the models, unfortunately, is, you know, these poor people that are rehomers and sanctuaries have to rely solely on donations. And unfortunately, that can put the horses at risk if they need to be fed. You know, they're running out of hay. They might need to sell the horses to make profit, or they're just running out of funds because, you know, as we all know, life is tough at the moment. You know, you've got taxes. It's hard. It's hard yakka. So after, you know, working on projects around the world myself, I can see how it is possible and how they pull off these large projects by having the right partnerships and having the right models that bring in money revenue. So that can be with ecology, that can be with regenerative planting, that can be with offsets as well, that can be with sponsors, that can be with say solar and things like that. So it's about having the partners that come in, and it's that actual landscape is producing income and tourism on top of that, so that we know that this model isn't going to fall apart and it is actually making a profit. And so much of a profit that we can keep expanding on lands, and it doesn't have to just be around what we're looking at around the park. It can be across Australia, because our organisation, Wild Horse Protection Australia, is not just about the Brumbies and KNP, it's about the Brumbies all over Australia, which are ultimately facing the same fate.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think your biggest problem, I mean, a couple of problems I can see. One, finding the land, because if you propose to put it in that particular region of Kosciuszko National Park, you've got to compete with what's that militia group called? The ISC, that's right. They're another militia group. And, you know, who are magnificent with propaganda and the information operation. And their troops being the New South Wales state government. And now you can see also their troops being the WA state government, and their troops being the federal government. So you have to compete against them. Now, they say that the horse is doing terrible things to the environment, which it is not. It is actually safeguarding all these great lumps of land because of the fire danger is mitigated. However, that's one of your major stumbling blocks. How do you cut through, and I'll be quite polite here, how do you cut through government, bureaucratic, and a lot of these NGOs, their horse poop?
Well, I mean, look, we're looking at, let's be honest here, we're looking at land wars, aren't we?
We are.
That's what it is at the end of the day. It's water rights laws, it's land laws, because they're using the land for, you know, it's multi-layered. They're using it for resources, they're using it for offsets, they're using it for, you know, many different things. So, but at the end of the day, money talks. So if we have the money and we have the partnerships, then we use that to be able to acquire the land. We've already got our eyes set on a couple of parcels of land that, you know, are close to proximity, that we can put an LOI on and we can have our partners come in. Now, the important thing about this, what we call capital stacking, is we do still need community support and community help to get this project off the ground. So personally, I'm speaking to private investors internationally that are interested in this project, but they come in at a certain stage. So you've got to think of this project as like a funnel. They're ready to come in at the end stage. And what we need to build is these middle stages. So at the moment, we're doing a call out to JV partners, as we call them. So we will be partnering. We're in conversations with JV partners in conservation, in philanthropy, in renewable energy. So they come in on the middle bit. The first bit, which we're going to be launching in a couple of days, is the GoFundMe. So this is like our little foundation pool from the community. And when people can see that, the JV partners can see that, and then the end partners can see that. They all come in at different stages, and then the project is complete, because you're looking at, it's a massive amount of money, so it has to be stacked in a certain way. And I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just making that very clear. This is not financial advice or anything like that. This is from my experience of working on these projects and seeing how everybody has done them globally.
Can you just tell me, I'm just wondering, because I think it's a fantastic idea, by the way, being a national park, the chance of actually, and this is a contradiction, by the way, the chance of actually buying or purchasing a lump of land, a parcel of land, is quite remote. Having said that, you see Chris Minns would like to privatise the national park. So therefore you have that option. If you were to kick it off, and as you said, you need the local support, and then we need the dollars, which I don't think is all that hard to get, considering that you have a very, very good and comprehensive plan that's ready to rock and roll. But tell me, which part of New South Wales would you be looking at first? I know I'm sort of pushing it a bit early, but I'm quite interested because there is all those restrictions that I mentioned previously.
Yeah, so what we're looking at and considering is, large cattle properties that can be bought and they can be regenerated. Obviously, the landscape has to suit the horses as well, and they need a lot of movement, and they need a variety of different landscapes and, of course, good water source. But we wouldn't be acquiring national park as such or bushland. It would be more probably regenerating a large station, which is, we have found around New South Wales and even just over the Victorian border between the Snowies. And we also have a lady on our team that's looking for off-market properties as well. So to be honest, once again, money and strategy talks, and just because parks and just because the government are doing a certain way doesn't mean it can't be done a different way. So you use what's put in front of you, but you just tweak it and create it so that you can win. And this is the way to do it. And people do it all the time. Private people are buying up land left, right and centre. Government are buying land left, right and centre. So you've just got to have that creative vision and the strategy going forwards.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. What sort of time frame do you have?
I mean, we're wanting to do this as soon as possible, but, we're put in that precarious position that, after the last count, that Thaler was up there, whether it's verified or not, whether those numbers can actually be used, is showing us that there's, hardly any left, which is just devastating. So, how those horses come in as well and how that looks, we don't know yet. But at least we can build parallel on the side, a safe haven where, these horses, they might come out of sanctuary as well, where people can no longer have them, the Brumbies, or they're in the sale yards as well, or they've come, family groups straight off country. So we're obviously wanting to keep family groups together if we can. And make sure that, these horses can stay wild, as wild as they possibly can be. So we're not looking at a rehoming model. We're looking at a rewilding model where people can come from around the world. They can enjoy these beautiful animals. They can enjoy this landscape that isn't 1080 baited, and the animals are shot. And obviously it has to be managed, but not managed to that extent where you can't even hear a bee buzzing around because of all the poison in the land.
Interesting. We filmed there, Jindabyne, at Moonbar Hut. And by the way, it was absolutely freezing. I've never been so cold in my life, because that's why we're on the Gold Coast. Give me 31 each day. I'm very happy. But we filmed there and we did the show. And while I was doing the show, the wife hopped on this little bridge and went across where the park, right on the border of the park. And as soon as she crossed the bridge, she said it just felt terrible, felt dead. There was no birds, not what a park should be, felt sad, which I can understand dramatically. And I go back to what's happening at the moment. These people, I've got to tell you, in my own humble opinion, the National Parks and Wildlife Service should have a Royal Commission immediately. I think they are, but you do not. I mean, they actually, by blocking those ladies in, in that film clip, that's called kidnap, and you are not allowed to do it. Then the next thing I have a major problem with it. The weapons they use have silencers or suppressors. In any country, that is highly illegal. And I know in the US, and I know people who have in a past life, which you and I have spoken about with another business we had, certain people had certain attachments to weapons in their trunk of the car, and if they were caught with it, they would go to jail and don't pass go, don't collect anything. You're going to jail. Yet we have the National Parks and Wildlife Service and the shooters there. And we're not sure if they are part of the people that are employed by them, but they had silencers on the guns. You just don't do that. So what we have is this militia, and I find it incredibly frustrating that our country is being hijacked by these people and dictated to by an NGO that has got the Andrew Coxes and the Richard Swains and the Jack Off involved. And I find that these people are just changing the face of our country and so inhumane, not only to animals, but to people. It must get up your nostrils, as we would say in the classics, beyond all belief.
I spend a lot of the days just crying. I'm very close to the land. I grew up out in the desert in the middle of Australia, and I'm very close to the land of the animals. I have dingoes. And just to see the people treated like that, the land treated like that, the animals treated like that is heartbreaking. And I think that's why it's so important now to be focusing, because we don't know what the outcome of the park's going to be. We don't know how this is going to keep continuing. And I think it's important to be able to support private projects where we can come together as community and step away from that whole chaos that's going on and the wars and the greed and which is running the whole show. Still fight for it, absolutely, because that belongs to the people. Really, that's national park. It needs to be managed a completely different way. But we support another model that's going on, and I just want to say that again that these animals are so special. I don't know how much time we've got left, but I had an experience with a Brumby which was just so magical. I was out the back Tamworth way, and the kids were asleep in the car, and I saw a whole mob come across the road, and I stopped the car, and I do energy work, so I've learned how to put energy remotely into animals, and I can connect with them. So I saw this beautiful stallion walk across the road. He was a bay, dark, almost black colour with a white star, and he was moving. They were quite calm. He was moving the mares along, and I put that energy from me and intentionally put it into his heart and into him, and felt the connection, and they feel it. I don't know if you know about the studies with the horses' toric field with their heart, how it's 700 metres or something like that, I think it is, or 70 metres, but it's very big, and so he felt it immediately. And then I put this playful energy in it, and he moved his mares on, and we ended up having this beautiful experience where he was dancing around a tree, and I was sort of playing. I'd go up to him and play on the other side, and then he'd come around the other side, and I'd play on the other side, and he was dancing around, and it was just this most magical moment. And the way that they move and the way that they're a part of the landscape was really an eye-opener for me in that particular instance. I've been around them a few times, but how they just merge in with that landscape and they're a part of the magic of the bush, they've evolved with that. And I think that's, really important that we start looking at these species as they've adapted with the landscape. They're not a domestic horse. They're their own species that need to be positively studied in an environment, which is part of our movement and what we want to do with this model, that they can be studied for their positive impacts, with fire control, with soil, with what they can do with the land there without the disruption of culling and 1080 baiting. We haven't even given them that chance.
I totally agree with you. And one final thing, we have this propensity in this country at the moment, and supported by the apathy shown by many, many Australians, and they should be ashamed of themselves. That's just me being upfront with that. But the propensity to killing, you have 3 dingoes, and if you read the press, dingoes are very bad, and I can see them on the hit list for the ISC and other state governments. Tell me just fairly succinctly, if you don't mind, what a dingo is actually all about.
So, I mean, once again, there haven't been enough studies done on the dingo. My personal belief is I believe they've been here the whole time. Being around them, they're nothing like a dog. I mean, they're up on the benches, they can jump into trees, they can contort, they're flexible, their heads can actually go backwards onto their body. I mean, they're not, and everything about them is completely different from a dog. I think they're vital as our apex predator and as a keystone species to be able to control and keep balance in our parks and in our nature, where they're getting 1080 baited everywhere, which is just an absolutely excruciating death and horrible that that's even allowed in this day and age. But they're messing with the ecosystem where those dingoes can, hunt rabbits and they hunt cats. And they keep the balance and they keep the healthy. They take off the weak, even with the Brumbies and things like that. They take out the weak ones, or they keep balance. And parks is an invasive species is just ruining that. And we do have methods. I know it's a bit of a controversial thing with the farmers because some dingoes can come in with their sheep and their cattle and things like that. But when we look at guardian animals. There's a whole avenue there that hasn't been explored as well where we can coexist. So I think that's the big thing is coexisting and giving nature a chance as well. And I think you might have had a guest on not long ago and his philosophy was, let nature do its thing. And I think that's what I sort of want to end on here is that nature is a super consciousness. We think as man that we need to control and we need to manage and we need to dominate. But nature is a super consciousness, far more intelligent than we are. And if we gave that nature a chance to actually balance itself out, I think we'd be very, very surprised at what comes from that.
Absolutely brilliant. And we can find out more from whitehorseprotectionaustralia.org. Sian, thank you so much for your time. Do you have a Facebook page? Because Facebook is all the rage, I believe.
Wild Horse Protection Australia. You can find us wildhorseprotectionaustralia.org online and see what we're up to. We'll be adding more and more to that. You can find us on Instagram at the moment, Wild Horse Protection Australia, or you can follow me as well on Instagram and Facebook. But we will also be launching our GoFundMe in a couple of days if community wants to be a part of it. And we're totally open to questions, to come and ask us to be a part of it. To be a part of our organisation in some ways or the model that we're doing, we're totally open to that. So,
absolutely brilliant. Been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. Second time
Thank you.
Chatted, but this is just very illuminating, and I appreciate your honesty and your foresight. And I think what you have is a great business model. Excuse me, but not only for business, it's also what I think is needed in Australia at the moment because everything else is failing. We've got to stop that downward trend at the moment because if we keep going the way we are and Australia keeps being apathetic as it is, Australia is changing and it will change forever, and there is no coming back once it's changed. So we have to be on our mettle. Sian, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. This is the Country Telegraph.
Gone so quiet now, no birds sing in the dawn. The creek still winds through ancient stone, but everyone is gone. I walk the ridge where I was born and call into the sky, but only echoes answer me, and I don't know why. There's sorrow in the snow tonight, there's fear beneath the trees. The mountain holds its breath for us and trembles in the breeze. Why am I so alone? country I have known. What did I do wrong? Can somebody tell me why I was only living free beneath the mountain sky? Why do the gentle always cry? They speak of me in hard words now, as if I have no name, as if my heart is not a heart, as if I feel no pain. But I have loved our country well. The grass is rain and stone. I carried life across these hills and never walked alone. My mother's breath is in this wind, my father's in this ground. The bloodline of the mountain horse still echoes all around. Why am I so alone? Why in the only country I have known? What did I do wrong? Can somebody tell me why I was only living free beneath the mountain sky? Why do the gentle always cry? I remember my mother's shadow moving softly through the snow. I remember running beside her where the mountain rivers flow. Now I call into the silence and only echoes reply. The wind knows where they've gone, but she won't tell me why. The valley wears a heavy grief. The stars seem far away. Every sound upon the mountain makes me fear another day. I never wanted anything but to stay where I belong. I only knew the ancient pathways, the rivers and the songs. And if you walk these mountains with me, you might understand the love a heart can carry for both family and land. Why am I so alone? Why in the only country I have known? What did I do wrong? Can somebody tell me why I was only living free beneath the mountain sky? Why do the gentle always cry? Country, keep my family near, hold them safely in your light. If they wander through the darkness, guide them gently through the night. And if one heart still remembers, if one voice still sings our song, then perhaps we're not forgotten, and perhaps we still belong.
That's Billy D. Why, Billy D. We will have her on next week. We're going to do it today. But, you know, the best laid plans of mice and men. But next week, cross my heart, hope to die. By the way, just reminding you that we have a poll happening at the moment. This week's poll is, do you want the Brumby cull to stop immediately with thanks to Instantpolls.online. Just go and look at our screen next to me at the moment. I'm more important, by the way. No, I'm not. Also go to our Facebook page and to our website and stuff. You'll see the QR code there. Hold your phone up and let mother technology take over. David Lewis Mackay is a co-founder and director of Smart Soil. Now, Smart Soil is an innovative agricultural sustainability company that places soil health at the core of its solutions. It's the way of the future, let me tell you. They combine science, technology, and advanced practices to support farmers in optimizing productivity and regenerating their ecosystems. Today we're going to discuss with David the economics angle, very relevant to today's fertiliser and chemicals prices, which are all sort of tottering on what's going to happen in the Middle East. David, thanks for joining us. We actually need your microphone on. It says, turn that button on. There you are, just about. No, we still can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
Oh, there we are. Look at
Test.
Just
Sorry, mate.
Hang on, we'll do this properly. testing, check 1, 2. And that's when when you know why roadies, when they go check 1, 2, check 1, 2, you know why they do that?
No, I do not.
They can't count past 2. Sorry, that's a terrible joke. I mean, it wasn't even my mum's joke, that one. They used to tell me that. They said, you be a roadie. I said, no, I can count past 2. Anyway, so I was never a roadie. Tell me about, I'm just thinking, because in my dad's day, if something's wrong, put more on it. And if that doesn't work, put more on it. How wrong is that?
Yeah, it's what we've come to know in the space as the moron principle, Mike. And this system of agriculture has really locked farmers into a system where they put more on. There's another problem, they put more on. There's not enough growth, they put more fertiliser on. The plant health suffers, so then they have to put more insecticide, fungicide, herbicide on. So it's just a failing system, and I think farmers are seeing the writing on the wall, to be honest. And especially with the conflict in the Middle East that is leading to higher and higher input costs. I just don't know how it's sustainable. We just can't continue farming like this. So I think farmers are looking at different ways to do things, which is really exciting. And farmers are some of the most innovative, creative, capable people on the planet. So it's really exciting to see farmers innovating and leading this change.
Well, tell me how they are innovating and what they can innovate with and to what extent.
So, it aligns with a lot you talk about on your show here, which is working with nature, and your last guest really summed it up well. I think that we just need to get out of the way in a lot of the cases, and let Mother Nature do its thing, stop disturbing the system. For example, there's a certain bacteria in soil that can fix nitrogen from the air, because we have to remember that our atmosphere is 76% nitrogen. So above every single paddock, there is just tons and tons of nitrogen. All we need to do is grow plants and have functioning soil biology to pull that nitrogen in, make use of it, and put it to work. So, but interestingly, so we go in with a treatment of Roundup or herbicide, and what does it do? It kills all of that bacteria that fixes the nitrogen, and all the fungal populations that assist with that nitrogen fixation. So, what a great business model for the input companies. You kill all the good stuff that makes the natural system function, and then you sell them the medicine to fix it. So, and it does sound pretty similar to another health system that I know of.
Yes, you mean our health system?
Yeah, correct.
It's which just, if you look at it, just makes you sick, doesn't it?
Well, it is making us all very sick, Mike. So I think we need.
Tell me about the profit and loss. Because farmers got to make money.
Yes.
Although if you watch Clarkson's Farm, that's few and far between drinks. But what does the profit and loss look like 3 to 5 years using the regen model?
Yeah, nice one. I have mentioned before that there can be a bit of a yield drop potentially in that first 1 or 2 years as we transition to a more regenerative system. But once again, the value is in the dollars that you don't spend. So while our input or our return per acre may drop a little bit, our actual input cost per acre has dropped significantly. In a lot of cases, almost to zero, other than a few dollars on, say, compost tea brew, food for the microbes, so fish and kelp, molasses, all very cheap ingredients to source, and ingredients that we can eat. So I mean, it's going to be healthy for the soil biology. So by year 5, you're looking at whatever you're producing off it, whether it's grain or whether it's animals, fuel, fibre, whatever it may be, your input costs are dropping so low that everything that you're selling through the farm gate is actually straight profit. So I just think it just makes so much sense.
It does, but if you look at the federal and state governments, sense is not, unless they can get that off you, is not part of the equation. Tell us about some of your podcasts you're doing. What's your latest one you've done, and tell us what you've been exploring.
Nice one. Yeah, so we're actually going to just launching season 2 of the Mind Body Soil podcast. We're actually focusing a bit more on the young regenerators that are coming through. So this next generation of regenerative farmers. So we recorded one a few weeks ago with Matthew Haggerty, who is the son of Ian and Di Haggerty, who are the Western Australians of the Year last year. So they are being recognised for their incredible work regenerating a 60,000 acre regenerative farm out in the wheat belt of Western Australia, and doing so with exactly the methods that I'm talking about. They're not using any artificial nitrogen. They're not using any disgusting poisons on the grain that they're producing, and they're profitable. So they keep on buying their neighbours' properties because the neighbours are going broke because they're trying to make this failed agricultural system work, and they've been told it's the only way that it can work. And they go broke, and the Haggertys expand, and they're just having incredible results on the land. It is just it really is incredible as you enter their property or even the surrounding region of their property. You get this sense of life as you enter their boundary, as their boundaries are so big as well. Like, you don't even know that you're on their place, but you do, because the flowers are different. There's more birds. The insect life, it's really amazing to see, Mike. And if you ever come over, I'll take you out there.
Actually, we will be. We've got our Starlink now. We're up, Scotty, and we got our first broadcast at Tumbarumba on Saturday morning, which we're looking forward to enormously. I've got to drive there, by the way. It's like a 3,000 kilometre drive round trip for 6 hours there, but they are magnificent people. And awesome. They are fighting a good cause. We had a couple of things. We had yesterday Gary Duffy on, who's an organic farmer, brilliant person. Very sad, though, he lost his dog, but he was telling us about his neighbour who grew bananas, and he used to put 1080 at the tops of all the banana plants to kill the bats and other awful critters. And he said when he would go there, it was like a morgue. There was just nothing but dead animals. But think about the people who are eating that fruit. It's just it's very scary, isn't it? What we're doing with things we eat. Because yesterday we said, are we eating pesticides? Well, if you look at paraquat, look at glyphosates in Roundup, look at 1080. But truly organic is probably the way to go, isn't it?
100%. You look at some of the most productive ecosystems on Earth, there's no one out there spraying stuff on it to keep it alive or make it grow, is there? So the more that we can mimic that natural system, I think the better off we'll be, not just in terms of profitability on farm, but health-wise for the food that we're producing. For example, the paraquat thing is crazy, and even I really struggle with I guess it's an excuse, or it's a claim that the world will starve if we don't have paraquat, glyphosate, these crazy toxic chemicals. But paraquat is so toxic that it is something like, it's like the number one suicidal method for Indian farmers in third world countries. If it's like taking a cyanide pill, yet we go out and we spray it on our soil. It is absolutely crazy, and I think the hen's gonna come home to roost at some point. And if you just look at the graphs that show from when we started spraying glyphosate and desiccating wheat, so around the early 90s, if you look at the charts of autism, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, all these horrible diseases, a lot that impact the most vulnerable and youngest members of society, they all started around when we started spraying this stuff on our food. So it's a real worry, and I think the sooner we start easing off on that damage that we are doing to the ecosystem, the better.
Yeah, I totally agree. The other thing too is the ISC, the Invasive Species Council. You probably get the impression that I don't like them, which is the understatement. I think there's slime balls. They're very bad people, and I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them. And we are going after them. They're awful. But the Invasive Species Council, other than disliking them enormously and hoping they all drown in a leaky boat, they're very nice people. But anyway, the Invasive Species Council have called for a cull for horses at Lake Muir in WA. What is it with Australians? I mean, especially government, they just love to kill, don't they?
Oh, yeah, it boggles the mind, Mike. I didn't know that they were going to start culling the Brumbies down there, so it's news to me. And I actually drove through there a couple of weeks ago, and it was the first time that I spotted the Brumbies down in Lake Muir, and I got so excited. It brought me joy. And the fact that they're going to go out there and start shooting them is crazy.
Well, it's from the ISC, and they have got nothing to do with the environment at all. It's all about money. So maybe you and I can chat, and Jen can chat about because we will be there anyway. But we need to stop all these things, because the way of the world should be towards getting back to as it should be, not becoming the choreographed society and environment as some would like us to be. And I think the clash there is enormous. We need to get back to being a little more human, because at the moment there's not a whole lot of humanity involved, is there?
No, more human and more humble, Mike. We can't keep thinking that we know everything, and we can't keep trying to control everything. As your previous guest said, the more that we keep butting into nature and trying to control it and smacking our head against the wall and fight, kill, it's just not the way that nature intended. So we need to align ourselves with the natural laws and just try to leave this planet in some sort of good nick, and keep the animals alive. It's not that hard. I mean, it's just amazing that they choose that as the thing that they want to try and fix. It's the horses that are causing all this degradation. Meanwhile, they let these foreign national companies come in and strip our land bare, take all the trees and all the minerals out of the soil, but it's the Brumbies that we need to go out and kill. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's just the mind boggles, but it purely is pure evil. That's all it is. Just quickly, and the final thing is, I've been looking at the artwork behind you. Is that your handiwork? I mean, have you improved and you're doing those, or do you have help?
I get a little bit of help, Mike. That is our kids' art wall, and they are absolutely avid artists. They love drawing and doing all that. And I wish I could draw that good. Makes mine look pretty good. So yes, they're living the dream on the land, and I feel very blessed and very grateful to be able to offer my kids that sort of childhood. And they get creative when they aren't in a toxic environment. So
yeah, I'm 110% behind you there. Absolutely brilliant. David Lewis Mackay, thank you very much. If somebody wants to find out more about Smart Soil, how do they do that?
Yeah, all socials are good, Michael. Smart Soil on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We've just got a new video up on YouTube with Dr. Jill Clapperton, who's a soil and rhizosphere ecologist. And she's just an amazing lady. Some great soil health tips on how to gauge the healthier soil on YouTube there. So take a look, and thanks for having us on, Mike.
Absolutely brilliant. I think the planet, if we have more like you, the planet is in good hands. Unfortunately, there aren't that many like you. We need to fight really hard, tooth and nail. And by the way, wasn't it a derby last week? You had the Freo playing the
Eagles.
Yep.
Sure did.
And who do you follow?
West Coast. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, not the Saints. Sorry, mate.
Sorry about that. Anyway, membership is still available. We give you a discount. You got to see the light, buddy. Thank you.
Cheers, Mike. See you, mate.
David Lewis Mackay there, here on the Country Telegraph. That's about it for me as I lose my voice again. Incredible. It's perfectly fine until I open the microphone and kabang! There it goes. There goes his voice, sounding very much like Lee Marvin. And many are saying, who the hell is Lee Marvin? Go and have a listen to him or watch him. Old cowboy actor. He's very good. A film called Cat Ballou, my dad's favourite. It's very funny indeed, and politically correct, I think, too. So have a look, Cat Ballou and Lee Marvin. That's it for me. By the way, I just got to mention, we have we're broadcasting live on Saturday morning from Tumbarumba, part of a nationwide rally that's happening in cities, Adelaide, Perth, Ballina, Brizzy, Queanbeyan in Canberra, Tumbarumba, of course, and many other places all across the country. And we're telling government and the ISE to stop what you're doing at the moment. No more killing. But whether they listen to us, I think it depends on how many rock up to it. We need to go to these rallies. Tumbarumba, I'm a guest speaker. But anyway, but don't let that stop you. Okay, and we're broadcasting live too. And we hope to cross to a number of these rallies across the country. It will be a fly-by-the-seat production, but we are looking forward to it. We have to do what we can to protect Australia. And at the moment, the New South Wales government, Penny Sharp, Chris Minns, who's the other communist there? There's a whole bunch of them there anyway. They, along with the ISC, jack off. That's what they say. Don't blame me, jack off. Anyway, the lobbyist who's now going to dictate how we live in Australia. And Jack, you can go to buggery as far as we're all concerned. And hopefully you'll go there very quickly. That's it. I'll catch you on Saturday morning. A couple of replays tomorrow. We've got the replays starting at 7. Thank you, Cam. And they'll be probably from Monday and today's one too, talking about all sorts of things. So if you missed it, it's on again, the whole show. And we'll catch you on Saturday morning around about 10 a.m. It could be 9:30, could be 9, could be 10:30. But anyway, just stay tuned for all the excitement. It's all happening at Tumbarumba. Thank you so much. See you on Saturday. Be kind to yourself and be kind to your neighbours. And just be kind, okay? In kind. Thank you so much.
Tell my fool I kept on running. Tell my mirror I heard her cry. Tell the mountain I belonged here. Tell the wind I said goodbye. Brumby hoofprints etched for generations in the snow. I've watched the foals become the mares, the stallions old and slow. Here in the snowy mountains where my life began, across hills, ridges and open plains my fellow Brumbies ran. I've led them through winter storms, drought and summer rain, but I can't outrun what follows now, shield my family from this pain. My ancestors crossed the oceans, but I was born upon this land. These mountains are my birthplace, the Snowies are my clan. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. Tell my foal I kept on running, tell my mare I heard her cry, tell the mountain I belonged here, tell the wind I said goodbye. Stay close beside me, little one. The thunder isn't rain, the sky itself is hunting us, and I cannot stop the pain. I gather those I love and turn to face the sound, though every instinct tells me run. There's nowhere left for us now. These mountains hold our memories, our family history. If home is where you're raised, then this is where we should be. I don't know the reason, I hear the echo, a final sound, deadly thunder overhead as I fall upon the ground. Thunder again and again, my heart grows quiet as bullets rain. I thought I had more seasons, more rivers left to roam, more sunrises with my Kosciuszko clan before the mountains called me home. Tell them I was born here, my grandfathers fought their wars. Remind them that this was our home, the snowy mountains were ours. Tell my foal I knew her fear, tell my mare I heard her call, tell my foal I tried to save them, tell the wind how Brumbies fall. Tell my foal I kept on running, tell my mare I heard her cry, tell the mountain I belonged here, tell the wind I said goodbye.